سي بون. دونك عسلامة، مرحبا بكم الناس الكل. اليوم باش نعمل بريزونطاسيون تاع نيفو اردوينو 1 بالنسبه للتريمستر الاولى. النيفو هذا هو اول كونتاكت للصغار مع الماتريال اردوينو ومع البروغراماسيون بالكود بالي. هذا علاش باش يفسروا لكم تو شنو تعلموا في التريمستر هذه. باش نبداو بالبطل احمد السواعي. تفضل سيدي احمد.
Dear parents, we have the honor and pleasure to represent you today our project. During the session in General Robotics Academy, we did the programming of a robot operating International Space Station. In the International Space Station, astronauts and robots work together to conduct research and experiments in microgravity conditions. In fact, robots do tasks such as handling heavy loads and maintenance operations in the radioactive areas in space.
برافو احمد على
The International Space Station is the largest spacecraft that ever been produced. It travels around the Earth at an average altitude of 400 kilometers and an average speed of 20,700 kilometers an hour, completing 16 orbits a day. Several nations work together to build and use the International Space Station to learn more about living and working in space. This lesson will make it possible to send humans further into the space. Presently, a number of sophisticated robots have been used and developed for use in the International Space Program. An example we can mention spheres and asteroids. In order to simulate these robots, which can help the astronauts to proceed with their experiments in the shortest delay, we made a robot capable of performing maintenance action in space station.
برافو سي.
The mission assigned to the robot in the system is composed of 3 steps. Step 1, to move to the space agency to the shuttle launch area and avoid the obstacle. Step 2, to detect the detective battery and reject it. Step 3, to replace the detective battery with a new battery. For these steps, we need to use 2 DC motor interfaced with an L298 power board. This board is able to separate the control circuit and the power circuit in order to get the control signal from the Arduino and the power from an external power circuit.
برافو يا
Second step, detecting defective battery and rejecting in the space. For this step, we used the robot to spot the defective battery and reject in the space. To determine the exact position of the battery, we used the ultrasonic sensor. Third step, the ultrasonic sensor works as follows. The transmitter transmits a sound and the receiver waits for the echo of the sound to return. From the time this process takes, the distance of the object from the sensor can be calculated. For this step, the robot has to rotate until it detects the position of the new battery, using the ultrasonic sensor and place it in the appropriate location.
برافو لولاد.
In the first step of the mission, there was no time blocking the robot's path. It was necessary for the robot to change its path to avoid hitting any obstacle. After brainstorming, we chose to change the path of the robot as it detects an obstacle like this. Detecting obstacle was not that simple. The ultrasonic sensor is only able to measure the distance between it and the nearest object. So we used a do-while loop that allows to repeat giving action as long as the condition is valid.
برافو أيمن.
program in the do while works as follows. The robot moves forward for 1 millisecond, measures the distance. The loop repeats their interaction as long as the distance between the robot and the obstacle is higher than 5 centimeters. Once the condition is invalid, the program breaks the loop and executes the next step, which is to avoid the obstacle. For this step, we have created a user function capable of programming the necessary action in order to keep the main program clear.
برافو باين يعطيك الصحة. تفضل.
In the second and third steps of the mission, the robot must handle batteries which contain dangerous chemicals, such as lithium. Therefore, they must be handled carefully, which means that the speed of the robot must be decreased. Previously, we used the robot's motors like a light switch, using the digital right command. We could only activate the motor at its maximum speed or switch off completely. We could not adjust its speed.
برافو يعطيك الصحة. لا تصح.
The program of the robot, which controlled by the Arduino measure board, is written in C++ language, giving us maximum control over the code. This allows us to drive motor speedily in the different direction and speed. The analog command allows us to adjust the speeding voltage of the motor between 0 and 5 volts. By this decreasing the voltage that power DC motor, the speed of the motor can be reading. Now we are going to present to you the demonstration. Thank you for your attestation.
برافو الولاد يعطيكم الصحة. دونك بريزونتاسيون تحكونا برشا، اونجلي تحكون برشا، قاعدين تحسنوا من عام لعام. يعطيكم الصحة. هذاك علاش باش نخليو الناس تدخل للسيسيون الجاية باش نعطيكم لي زاتيستاسيون تاع السيسيون هذيا. باش نديكم بالواحد حسب الترتيب. دونك نبداو بسي أحمد السواعي. برافو سي أحمد، برافو، تصفيق عليه. صحيح. بعده عندنا سي سليم محمد، يعطيك الصحة سليم، برافو، تصفيق عليك هو. سي ياسين أوميززينه، برافو ياسين، تصفيق عليه. صفر. ونورهان السبعي، برافو نورهان، العنصر الأنثوي الوحيد اللي معانا، برافو يعطيك الصحة. سي محمد أيمن السبعي، صح محمد أيمن. سي بيرم الشعباني قاعد يتحسن يتعدى من الفرنسي للانجلي في كوميونيكاسيون، صح بيرم. وسي محمد آدم بجاوي، هاي سي آدم، صح آدم، برافو، تصفيق عليه. واخيرا سي محمد حبيب الرياحي هو اللي عملنا ديمونستراسيون، خدم لنا الروبو، برافو حبيب. هكا شباب نكونوا كملنا التريمستر الاولى بتاعنا، هذه اخر سيونس في التريمستر الاولى، ونرجعوا في التريمستر الثاني ان شاء الله اول ويكاند بعد ساعه اللي هو يجي ل 9 جونفي ان شاء الله. واضح؟ على بروشين.